they didn't work, they didn't work, they didn't work. And then one day, you're a genius. So they did it to infinity. And that's the direct marketer's dream. Direct marketing, though, is the secret of Google and Facebook. If you're an individual and you're counting your Facebook likes or your YouTube views, you're making a big mistake. Because there are direct marketing ads and there are brand ads. It's not the advertising that differentiates them. It's one simple thing. You can't measure brand. You can measure direct. You must measure direct.
Right.
Lester Wunderman, who was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine, the elder statesman, invented the term direct marketing, was on the board of Yoyodyne. Direct marketing is measured marketing. If you can measure it, you're going to act differently because you can see what happened Tuesday and change what you do on Wednesday. Brand marketing is a Cheetos commercial. Brand marketing is the Airbnb logo. You can't test the Airbnb logo every day. It's the logo. That's part of the way you tell the story of who you are. So a lot of individuals who don't own the company like brand marketing because you can't get in trouble for a long time because no one knows if it's working. And it's this magic alchemy. The Absolute Vodka ads in the back of the New Yorker for all those years. They didn't work, they didn't work, they didn't work, they didn't work. And then one day, you're a genius, right? So no, very few people make an Apple Super Bowl commercial that changes everything. Generally, what happens is people show up, put their brand in the world with or without an ad, right? Brand marketing is where did you put your store? Is it on the corner or in the middle of the block? You can't measure that because you can't open two stores, one in the corner and one in the middle. Direct marketing, though, is the secret of Google and Facebook. Google gets all of its revenue, 100%, from people who are buying clicks that they measure. And the reason they make so much money is they sell the clicks for a nickel. And if they work, they tell your competitors that they could buy it for 6 cents. And so an auction takes place. So you're making a little bit of money and Google's making a lot, but you're still okay with it because it's better than making zero. So as we switch to this world of direct marketing, we have to realize the metrics of brand marketing aren't appropriate and vice versa. What does that mean? It means if you're an individual and you're counting your Facebook likes or your YouTube views, you're making a big mistake because you're doing direct marketing in that sense. You're measuring it, but you're measuring the wrong thing. And that's going to undermine your brand because we all know that the best way to get a lot of clicks is to act like a porn site. And left to its own devices, if it does nothing but optimize, sooner or later direct marketing on the internet races to the bottom because you're just trying to get a few clicks from a few people dumb enough to pay you something. And my argument is we need to race to the top, so we need to use direct marketing when we should and brand marketing the rest of it.
The trouble with direct marketing or advertising like that is, it can be expensive. And sometimes it misses the mark, and we're being trained to ignore it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Lillian Vernon, LL Bean, the reason you've heard of them, Land's End, is because every time they spent 50 cents on stamps, they made $1.50 in profit. So they did it to infinity. And that's the direct marketer's dream. Get it right, turn the dial. But when we think about the marketing that makes our culture better, it might have a little direct marketing piece to it, but mostly it's a brand marketing exercise.
Can you weigh in on what seems to be the quintessential brand marketing play today as we talk about it, the Nike play and Colin Kaepernick?
Okay, so there are a few things that need to be understood about Nike. Biggest one, you are not Nike. I am not Nike. Nike is a bit of a special case. Number two, the vast majority of Nike's future and its present is overseas sales. So they're showing up and they're saying, we're not Puma, we're not Adidas, we are Nike. Well, you can't say that by pointing to your sneakers because in a blind taste test, the sneakers are all the same, right? Unless you're an elite athlete, it's about something else. Well, Colin Kaepernick is a signal. He's a symbol. He stands for something. And the other sneaker companies have been afraid to stand for what Colin Kaepernick stands for. So, is it risky feeling to go into a divisive area of politics that I don't think should be divisive but has become divisive? Of course it feels risky. But it was brilliant. It was brilliant because at the level Nike is playing now, the number of ways that they can stand for something, anything, is very small. And here, with just 2 words, they were able to say, us, him, we stand for something. When you talk about Nike, you are talking about standing for something, right? And the stock market has reflected that, their market share has reflected that. It's not easy for a brand to do something that singular. What's interesting is if Seagram's had done it, or Mattress Firm had done it, or some other advertiser, it wouldn't have worked because they didn't have the DNA to match it. It would have been a stunt. This wasn't a stunt. The people who knew Nike said, of course, it was very natural for them to do that.
Yeah, you're right. They've been seeding the market from the beginning, from youth sports all the way on up, and they've also been, the disruptor, if you want to use that buzzy word, in their industry, trying to do stuff differently and shake up.
Yeah, when you and I were kids, sneakers cost $8, right? So as a citizen, I am thrilled that they've given this brave individual a platform to speak his mind. As a marketer, a brand marketer, I look at that and say, if this is what the people at Nike truly believe, if this is where they are going and it's a non-cynical act on their part, I have to applaud it. Because the kind of person that is decrying this psychographically isn't their core audience. It's not what they look like, how old they are, their income. It's what they believe. And they tend to not be an early adopter of fashion, that person. Well, Nike is selling to the early adopter of fashion. By the time their shoes are at Payless, they're not making any money at that end of the curve. They make money at the front of the curve. And the front of the curve, the early adopters, they're people who are playing with new ideas in the culture. They're not people who are trying to preserve old ideas in the culture.